And that's what I understood, but everybody started saying it's they're together. What I'm asking, if it were just for those that were improperly given, how much of that 165 would that be?
It would be about 44,000.
The numbers are similar, but it's not the same.
No, it's two different issues. Yes.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, if we don't vote to rescind these raises, it's a 10% increase in the property tax. I mean, I'm all for giving increases if these were irresponsibly done. I think it'd be irresponsible for us to continue.
At the time, Frankie, we were told that it was not irresponsible.
No,
So that's a very broad statement, because when we're sitting here as a board, when we're being told that we can afford it, and we want to take care of our personnel, and that's what we do.
the action
So
of
to come back,
increasing salaries at that time was irresponsible. I understand that you didn't have all the information, and I apologize if I offended you. But right now, it would be responsible to continue this at an expense of a 10% increase in the property tax.
If we do this, Mr. Christie, is it going to save somebody's job?
Well, sure. I mean, you would be cutting the projected cost for next year by about 165,000, and as Alderman Dakin says, that's around 10 cents on property tax.
Okay. I'm sorry,
Or
but
it could be roughly 3 or 4 positions.
I thought we asked for the most efficient way to run the city, not whether we could save a job here or there based on what we cut somewhere else. If the jobs, if those are positions that we can run the city without, and I'm sorry anyone has to lose their job, us finding money somewhere else, I don't see how those two are related, because to me this is about compensating our employees, because every department head and every person has said are underpaid relatively speaking, versus the number of employees it takes to run a city. And I want to make sure we're not confusing apples and oranges here.
No, I agree. I still think we're going to have layoffs. I believe that wholeheartedly. But I also believe that this gives us a starting point. We can always make these adjustments. It was just done at a time when it didn't need to be done.
But to Alderman Dakin's point, if we can't lower the tax rate 10% or 10 cents and then add it back in, because then it goes back up. Those are two entirely different things. I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
I mean, I'm still stuck because we're saying they were improperly done, but not all of them were improperly done.
No, that's where you get
I'm
confused.
talking about the prudence. I'm not talking.
Sure. And this is where Alderman Ford is correctly making his statements. When the board last year decided to do across-the-board wage increases, that was simply to benefit every employee in the city, and it was based upon information that the board had at that time, that the finances were okay. That's one issue. The other issue we're talking about improperly is that in addition to those across-the-board wage increases, there were also adjustments made to selected, not all, selected person's salaries that did not follow board policy. And I mentioned before what that board policy is. If the wage grade improves, or there is a promotion to a higher wage grade, then that individual should be compensated either 5%, an additional 5% of his previous salary, or go in at the beginning of that particular wage rate, whichever is larger. Well, what we found is that in at least 31 cases of these 42 that you have here, that was not done. But that's a separate issue. What you're voting on is just the across-the-board wages.
Okay.
And you don't recommend that we do that because of the effect on morale?
Well, I just think that it really has a devastating effect on the lower compensated employees. Persons that are making $50,000 and more can make the adjustment, but those that are making in the 20s, a 3% is pretty heavy.
I just have a hard time, and I'm using the word punish, but I have a hard time doing something to all our employees when we already acknowledge they're underpaid, It wasn't their fault that a legislative body made a decision, right, wrong, or indifferent with whatever information they had. I just have a hard time telling all of our employees they're out working very hard every day, we're going to take something away. Now, telling them we can't give them anything extra is one thing, and we know we can't do that, but I just have a hard time taking something away from a group that it's not their fault.
I understand, but I also see that it's difficult for me to look at these citizens, these people, these taxpayers in this city, and to tell them, we're going to raise your property taxes because we made some mistakes in the past.
I don't know if that's the argument there. I mean, I would say it would almost, what we're saying is, if last year, I agree with Bethany, and when I was sitting here, it's almost like saying, well, all the information we had, we made an investment that we thought was the right one, and now a year later, we're saying, oh, we made a bad investment because we didn't have all the information, we're going to penalize all of our employees for it. And I don't think we should be taking that back. I don't think that's right. I mean, I think that was...
What did we borrow from the fund balance
There's
last
every
year
mistake it
to balance our
was.
budget?
Last, you talking about fiscal 12,
Well,
the year we're in, or
Yes.
last year?
the year we're in now, what are we going to end up borrowing from our, to pay these?
We don't do it.
Right, well, I'm just asking.
Well, I'm just saying, okay.
At this point, we are projecting about 200,000.
Yeah, I agree with Chris. We've got, from what I've been all over the world, and we've got some of the best employees in the city I've ever seen. We've done, maybe it shouldn't have happened last year, but we did it. And I'm not saying anything good. I don't think we should do that.
I just don't want us to
On
lose,
the other issue,
I just don't
that's
want us to
different.
lose the dedicated employees we have and end up having to spend more in training and overtime for the ones that are left if they choose to find a job somewhere else because they feel like something was taken back that they, you know.
We're talking about the demoralization, and you want to talk about the situation that we're in now. You don't think that everyone, the morale in this city, my understanding, and all the department heads are here, is at an all-time low. I mean, people are worried about their jobs. Look at the police department. Look at the fire department. My understanding is that we have some guys that have their second interviews for jobs. Is that true, Chief? What about the police department? So how's morale there? I mean, you're saying that this is going to decrease morale? I say morale's at an all-time low as it is.
But I think we've seen the actions of what happened in Memphis too, when they took back the pay raises, you've seen the actions there. And, you know, I don't know if we want to kick them while they're down.
Somebody's gonna have to pay for it. And we don't want tax increases. We don't want to let people go, but we want to balance the budget. You can't do all three at one time. I haven't seen a formula where we can do it. Show me how it's done.
Listen, I've spoken to a lot of these people out here, and I mean, I know, but most of them have told me, I see some of them out here, that they would take and give those pay raises back.
Most
Right,
of
If it
them-
meant-
but that was to save other people's jobs, and the point I'm making is whether we can take the pay raises back or not, we still can't guarantee we're gonna save everybody's jobs, because if we add jobs back, we've done the exact same thing to the taxpayers.
I don't disagree with
Arbitrary
that. I think we're
land.
still going to lose jobs.
Would you have half that money goes back to saves the job?
Well, we're gonna say that the priority will be on police jobs.
I'm just saying, if the argument's that, we're not gonna save any jobs with the decreases, let's do half that.
Priority will be on public safety.
Exactly.
But we need to put the money back, and we need to make the decision to move forward with the best for all of the citizens. I hate it happens. I'm getting furloughed starting next month. Every Friday, I'll be off. Anybody need a leave rate, I'll be available. But there's gonna be a lot of people looking for money from places where there is no money.
I call the question.
Okay, I'll we got a motion to make an amendment yet? I haven't heard.
Yes.
Yes, you have an amendment on the floor.
The amendment is to take back
Rescind
the
the
3%
3% and 5%
5%.
raises.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. McGee?
Aye.